Pasha Pyro, YNS7. Thank you for tuning the replay. Okay, great. So 13 million plus people are at risk. Less than 2 years before it begins. What is it? Driverless trucks. Pasha Pyro, YNS7. We're going to get into this today. And by default of the conversation, there's actually going to be focus on a new SPAC. So stick around. This will kind of be like an informative reflection plus stock outlook as well. Let's get it. So, we talked about this on the channel a few times, repeatedly, right? So let's go back to, we're focusing loosely on the automation process affecting the community and job displacement. Okay? Now, when you say the truth, it sounds bad, or it sounds negative. Excuse me, not bad. It sounds negative. However, when given enough time, it gives notice, so to speak. It gives people in the community a chance to reskill, or a chance to change, or a chance to decide if they're going to go down with the ship or move out the way, right? So that's how you gotta look at this stuff. And what we know about many people is that we are resistant to change when we want to be. So let's take a look at this overall situation. So what we got here Bureau of Transportation statistics. I know. What are you researching this for, Pasha? You never know when the knowledge gonna come in handy one day. You see what I'm saying? Like when the whole world actually does collapse and everything goes down, who's gonna be one of the most valuable sets of people? The people that remember the most of Google. You know what I mean? All right, so let's get it. So key takeaways here. Transportation and transportation-related industries employ over 13.3 million people, accounting for 9.1% of workers in the United States. Employment in these industries, it tells you how they rose a little bit, and then its movement, right? But this is what I really want you to focus on. 13.3 million people, 9.1% of workers in the United States. Okay? This part here I thought was interesting. The average compensation for transportation-related occupations, including wages and benefits, was $6.43 less, right, per hour than the average for all occupations in 2017. Because we all know some truckers, right? And I was talking to my truckers, and I was like, "Hey, man, what do you guys think about this coming ordeal?" And I really wish I congratulate those who, with the notice, were able to, be one of the companies positioning to own and operate these assets once they're finally deployed. You know what I'm saying? So otherwise, this is what's coming, and we're looking at it affecting 13.3 million people overall, right? And each one of them have some sort of family connection, some sort of community involvement, right? So the effects on 13.3 million people, you think about in your mind. Let me know what you think in the comments below, YNet7. That's 9.1% of the workers in the whole United States. And I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, like you're going to go to sleep one night and then the next day, 9.1% of the workers in the United States will be unemployed. All the truckers will be unemployed. What I'm saying is it's going to be gradual. But as you can see, this is moving quick, because when we first talked about this last year and everything, I was bringing this to the table for you guys. We knew it was coming, but it didn't seem like you would be talking about it this year. And you'll see in some video later on today where they talk about they're thinking they'll have their version on the road, like actually running 2023. So that's where I got the less than 2 years before it all begins. We know Tesla's working on theirs. We know a few other people are working on theirs. And this, let's take a look at it. So what we got Embark, right? It's taking its driverless truck startup public via SPAC. Excuse me. So Embark, led by 25-year-old, you know what I'm saying? That in itself is, it's kind of exciting, 25 years old, and you're taking a driverless truck outfit public. Just the fact of what you're doing at 25. I mean, that's a lot of potential. We were to share this type of stuff with our communities more often. Imagine what your community could do with the talent it has within its neighborhood walls, so to speak. It would be amazing. So San Francisco based, anyway, on Wednesday, so today, announced a deal to take the self-driving truck startup public via SPAC. San Francisco-based Embark said it will combine a $5.2 billion deal with Northern Genesis Acquisition Corp. 2, a special purpose acquisition company. Those that's followed the Big Board Peps section of YNet7, you guys are familiar with how we really enjoy SPACs, and I will show you, might as well just show you now. This is the actual SPAC itself, and it was just started. It was just created in March, so it's only 3 months in, and the great opportunity there is it's right at the $10 mark. So you pretty much probably, for entertainment purposes only, could consider that this is going to go up from here, and you'll have a good opportunity. We'll just see how much and how fast is up for debate. If you're looking at it here behind my head, that you can't see, it's stating that the average volume on it was 431,000 trade shares, and the volume today was 4.15 million. So that's even better to see that it's holding solid, not dropping or anything with the increased volume from my standpoint. Let's keep an eye on that. I mean, at $10, you're basically getting into it at entry for most SPACs. So it pretty much should go up from here. But that's entertainment. Move at your own risk there. So let's get back to the detail. All right. $5.2 billion deal. We're able to scale up really, really quickly. Now, that's good for investors. It's good for the transportation of product. You know, it with food costs climbing due to various inputs such as transportation. You know, there's a lot of pluses, a lot of benefits to this actually taking place. However, one of the drawbacks would be the displacement of 13 plus million people's eventually, you know, livelihood. So take a look at that, see where you're at with that stand, you know, with the whole thing, and see what you need to be doing in the next period of time to make sure that you, no matter current attitude / position, you win off of this. You know what I'm saying? So we're able to scale up really, really quickly by leveraging the purchasing power and the operational expertise of some of the largest carriers, Rodriguez says. So, and we'll look at it. Let's go to their website, because they do have a lot of the names that you see in trucking. All right. Let's get you there real quick. All right, there you go. So let's take a look. Oh, okay. So it must. Sometimes they don't let you share when you're like recording or whatever. But let's take a look at what they got going on. So this is some of the technology here, right? Where you can see this is your LiDAR, your cameras, and all that stuff. And what they're actually doing is they're making the plug and play software package to just like convert. So you can basically either like kind of sort of like buy some sort of a kit and get your whole fleet or switched over probably, or you could just buy it flat out, like I guess like, you know, already assembled through these major dealers. But it says Embark has compiled many first automated, you know, we like first automated trucks, many firsts for automated trucks, including cross country, operating in the rain or fog. And that was kind of like the one we had out in Israel. And that's really good, because that's part of what made them so interesting, right? And because they were competing with the Tesla that kind of wasn't making those same claims about bad weather. And you think about it, when you're moving trucks and stuff, you're going to be riding through probably some mountains and stuff like that. So, you know, you're going to need to make sure that inclement vision for these systems is priority. So Embark is advancing the state of art in automated trucks and bringing safe and efficient commercial transportation closer every day, right? So they got some big investors here as well, right? But let's do this. Let me see here. All right, so here's who they're backed by, right? This was a nice statement. Embark is the longest running self-driving truck program in America. So if that's the case, they kind of had a good head start. So starting in 2016, at a time when autonomous vehicles industry was focused on passenger vehicles, they were already ignored. They ignored the hype and trusted their vision in trucking. So, but here's what I want to get to, the second paragraph. Founded by world champion robotics, okay? We knew that a clear mission, pragmatic focus, and transformative value proposition for nearly $700 billion trucking industry. Okay? So the industry The trucking industry is $700 billion. And they're going to be able to do, once these systems are in place, or these assets, whether they're coming from Embark or they're coming from Tesla or whoever, they're going to be able to move like twice as much product in the same period of time, or twice as far. You know what I'm saying? So the gift and the curse, right? Now, shipper and carrier partners here, HP, right? Bison Transport, Werner. You may know some of these names. But where did I see the actual trucks they had their partner with? They got the trucks like Kinsworth and all of them. They're all part of it. Hold on a second. See, I'll be going through all this. I should start taking notes. That's what I need to do. But anyway, you know, the basic truck lines, Kinsworth and all that stuff. And let's take a look at this video, if this one plays. Okay.
See this strawberry? Well, around 3/4 of America's strawberries come from California, and the vast majority of those end up getting sent to other states. That means they get put in the back of a truck and driven along the highway to places like, say, Washington, D.C. Now that's a long trip, and it involves 40 hours of driving for a trucker. The thing about strawberries is that they spoil quickly. That's why it's crucial to keep the shipping time as short as possible. If you can do that, you'll add days of shelf life. Let's go back to the truck. That trip from California to D.C. translates to 4 full days of driving for the trucker. Now that's because truckers are required to do things like take breaks and sleep. So what if we told you we could do it in half the time? That's the Embark self-driving truck, and it's equipped with deep learning software that allows it to see the world around it. Basically, it's a big robot. Let's take a closer look.
Oh, hey, Jamie.
Alex is the CEO of Embark. Hey, Alex.
You making a video about self-driving trucks?
I think so.
All right, you want to take this one for a spin?
Let's go.
The visualizer up here on the back of the seats in front of you, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see what's going on. Our safety driver up front is going to hit the enable button. You can see enable there on the screen.
Ready to enable.
Starting trip. And from here on out, all the way at the back, the computer's going to be driving the truck.
So, Alex, what's your background?
I've been building robots my whole life. Started when I was 11. I like to think of these as the world's biggest robots. And one of the things I learned is about how important scoping the problem
but we all were.
And I think that really informs what we're doing at Embark, where we decided to build the simplest possible vehicle
levels to this shit.
that can make a difference for real people. So here we are, heading onto the highway.
Entering highway mode.
First, you'll notice how quickly and calmly it's able to slip in behind this vehicle here. You start to see some of the objects showing up on the screen. Now we're trying to make a lane change. It's interesting because there's not a really big gap for us. So we're trying to slide in between this truck here up ahead and the guy behind us.
Gap approved.
Now we're backing off to give a little bit of following distance. So here's our first big interchange.
Right lane change.
So you'll get to see, here it really needs to be pretty assertive and confident as it makes these maneuvers.
Right.
It's kind of fun seeing the objects in the visualizer and then seeing them pop into real life. So next up we have the Cloverleaf. It's a fun little part of the route where we have to make a couple of pretty quick lane changes. So the truck really has to be able to see up over a hill, has to have really good control coming around the curve. And one of the key things that allows us to be able to handle this correctly is that Vision Map Fusion system that allows us to actually adjust the rough map you have coming in to match exactly what the sensors are seeing in real time. And so if the truck is leaned over a little bit, we're actually tweaking the map to make sure that it matches the orientation of the truck.
I only have 2 eyes.
That's right, yeah. It's watching 360 all the time, right? The sensors are up high, and so it can actually see over. And then they're also out to the sides, and so it can see with the LiDAR and with the cameras. So we just finished a pretty boring section of route, just long, straight driving. And that's really, I think, one of the areas that the truck shines, because we're able to have a level of focus that's the same on hour 30 as it is on hour 1. And that's one of the things that lets us do fast cross-country runs.
So Alex, I think we've got a tunnel coming up. Is there anything special that the truck has to be aware of and deal with in tunnels?
Yeah, tunnels are actually a really interesting and challenging part because they force your sensor fusion to be able to work without some of the sensors. Your GPS doesn't work with 30 feet of concrete above you, and your radars get all these weird reflections off the tunnel. And so this really is pushing the camera and the LiDAR to take on the lion's share of the work, and the fusion system is realizing how to balance that between the different sensors. And this is also a great example where the camera quality matters a lot. Getting high dynamic range cameras that can work outdoors and also capture at the quality required for machine vision. As we come out here into the brightness, going from dark to bright requires a very high quality camera.
What would you say is your timeline of these things out on the road simply without a human driver?
We think that the first driver out demonstrations will be in 2023.
It's a no-brainer that the technology exists.
There's
now
your
to
2
do it.
years.
The infrastructure will support it. The benefits are obvious that you're going to be able to get materials where they need to go quicker, more reliably. I feel in this truck doing what you're having it do, though, I can trust it.
So here we are transitioning off the highway and now back onto some of these smaller streets to make it out to that final drop point. So that was that.
That was great. I think the overarching thing was safety and confidence. It just seemed really solid. You know, it was aware of everything that was going on around it. It was cautious. It was seeing a lot more than I was seeing. And so it felt like it was safer than being with a human driver to me.
Awesome. Glad you liked it. Thanks for taking a ride.
Thanks for having me.
Say, where'd all those strawberries end up?
I think they're over here somewhere.
All right, so very, very, very compelling. And, you know, again, you're doing all this, like in the case of strawberries, you know, go check out the video we did on vertical farming. And, you know, that cost could be greatly reduced by just having the strawberries grown next door, you know, instead of trucking them all the way across the country, whether you got automated truck or not. So it's kind of interesting when you learn these processes that you can use to help businesses eliminate waste and stuff in their own processes and everything. How the world changes, you know, how the appearance of the world changes, and you could do a lot with what's already here. And by the time you implement the new stuff too, it would just be, it could be that world that you want it to be. So let's take a look at the the investor size real quick. So we know they're trying to get into the $700 billion trucking market. Former Secretary of Transportation and Secretary of Labor Elaine Chao joins Embark's board of directors. All right, so you got the former Secretary of Transportation, and Secretary of Labor Elaine Chao. And they have a pretty good team other than that. So that's what's going on, people. You got an opportunity to get into it. It's right at the $10 mark. It's just for entertainment purposes only. And you from watching the channel, from watching Neo, from doing all the other Luminar, you know, everything. Okay, so you already know what's going on in the vehicle market. All right, so take a look at that, and at the same time, make sure you're in the right position, because if you're a truck driver and you don't have your own, this is what could be coming, just like everywhere else. So automation is coming. Pasha Paro, Y97. Thank you for tuning the replay.